How you doing, everybody? John Arezzi here for another edition of Pro Wrestling Spotlight Live. It is the 6th of March, 2021. Spring is not that far away, and we're all excited that the weather's starting to get a little warmer, and I'm sure everybody is tired of the snow and the cold weather, but beautiful day here in Tennessee. Welcome to another show. We have Greg Oliver coming on in just a little bit. There have been 4 losses in the pro wrestling business over the last week. 4 names have passed away, and it just seems like it's a common occurrence. And so we'll talk about Greg, about how he covers these deaths, especially when they're all so close to each other. So we'll talk about that. And we also have something really cool for you today. I have dug out of the archive something that is never before seen. It's not out there anywhere, and it comes from July 1995 when I was associated with Konnan and Antonio Pena, and I did some joint promoting out in Los Angeles. And there was a big show out there that they gave me permission to bring a full camera crew to shoot for some future opportunities, which really never happened. But I have the matches. This one is from July 15th, 1995, LA Sports Arena, and I'm going to show the main event. I'm going to show the main event in its entirety, and it is a 3-way hair versus hair steel cage match. And this one would pit Konnan against Perro Aguayo, the legendary Perro Aguayo, and of course the legendary Konnan, and Cien Caras. And it's a wild, crazy match in a cage, and we'll show that to you later today. But I want to first and foremost talk to you about Terry Funk. Terry was supposed to be on the show today. The person that handles all of his social media, who was a guest here last week, Jared Cheek, had hooked this thing up, and over the course of the week, Jared was saying, well, he may not be feeling up to it, and why don't you give him a call? And I talked to Terry on Thursday, and he sounded out of it. He didn't sound quite himself, and I really felt bad. He remembered me, but then again, did he? You know, it was kind of not the right time. He said he wants to do it, and he just wasn't feeling up to it. And Jared is going to go down there to visit him in a couple of weeks, and we're going to try to hook up something, a video chat that maybe we can edit. It won't be live, and to get some just to talk wrestling a little bit with Terry, who's such a legend himself, and he's just an amazing guy. And I just told him I loved him, and I was so happy that we've reconnected and talked after so many years. So the Funker is in Texas, and he's doing the best he can, and we certainly hope in a few weeks that we will be able to bring Terry on, but it's not going to be a live situation. That will, I don't just think that's fair. Also, a quick announcement before we get into Alex and the news. For the next 2 weeks, that's next Saturday and the following Saturday, I'm not going to be here. I'm traveling up to New York next weekend, and that will be in preparation for a couple things. I'm going to be taking my nephew to Florida for spring training. I am getting vaccinated next week, and I will wear a mask while I'm down there. But we'll see a few Met games. So I'm going to be traveling up to New York in transit next Saturday, and the following Saturday I'll be in Florida, heading back to New York. So why don't I bring on right now the person that's going to take the reins here for a couple of weeks, Alex Robertson. You'll be hosting next Saturday and the Saturday after. So first and foremost, thank you for that.
No, thank you. It's a lot of fun when I did it the last time. I'm looking forward to it.
Very, very cool. That's you bring on who you want. You talk about what you want to, and just keep these viewers in line.
Oh, absolutely.
Very, very cool. Well, we have another big news week in wrestling. We're not going to go over all the deaths. We'll bring Greg on for that.
Yeah.
What a sad week, but what an exciting week too. It seems like there's some pretty cool things happening, and There's a show tomorrow night. So why don't you take it away and let us know what the heck is going on?
Yeah, so every year since AEW started, we only heard that they were doing a pay-per-view per quarter. So this is our opportunity tomorrow to see one of the first ones of the year. It's going to be Revolution, and they've actually really hyped up the card. I wasn't sure throughout the year how it was going to go, what they were going to do, but I have to say I'm very much looking forward to the match, the whole card. Actually, there's about 9 matches on the card, and I think the most, I guess, hype-worthy match and the one that everyone is looking forward to is Kenny Omega with Don Callis, of course, versus Jon Moxley in an exploding barbed wire death match for the AEW World Championship. Doesn't that sound super fun? I mean, the last time that they were in a match like this, I know me personally, I couldn't watch the entire thing because I was still doing weekend mornings at my radio station, and I was sitting in master control. And my friend and I, who was answering the phones, we were watching it on YouTube, freaking out because we could not believe what these two are putting their bodies through. So if it's anything like that last match, I cannot wait to see who comes through and who comes out on top on that one, because I don't know why you would ever put your body through something like that.
No, and I remember those big that especially the Terry Funk versus Onita match in Japan from a few decades ago, and it was scary because that alarms going off and the bells. I mean, it was one of the most incredible matches I'd ever seen. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with this tomorrow night.
Yeah, I know. That's I think that's one thing that everybody is looking forward to, and I know that maybe another one that some of us, I know I am, because I'm actually going to be writing a piece about it for Slam Wrestling coming up this week. But the AEW Women's World Championship will be on the line tomorrow night. It's going to be Hikaru Shida, who is the champion, versus Ryo Mizunami, who actually won the women's eliminator tournament. And if you'll remember, there was a Japanese bracket and there was a US bracket, and then they slowly dwindled down, and then they came to a final. So there was an American side versus the Japanese side, and obviously the Japanese side came out on top. So those two will face off tomorrow night. And I mean, they both have a very similar style of wrestling. Me personally, I would have wanted to see something with a little bit more contrasting styles, but nonetheless, I think it should be a good match.
Yeah, it should be. Big card, though. I mean, there's some surprises. There's all kinds of things going on tomorrow.
Well, speaking of surprises, John, we did hear this week that on AEW Dynamite, the Big Show, aka Paul Wright, came out and he said, not only am I going to be part of AEW now, but I'm also going to be announcing a new recruit, a new hiree to tomorrow night. And I mean, everyone went ballistic. Like, who could it possibly be? And the way he was hyping it up, it was like a Hall of Fame worthy person was coming onto this roster.
Yeah, I saw an interview that Tony Khan did on the Sirius XM Busted Open show. Mm-hmm. And Tony was just really pushing it, saying it was one of his favorite performers of all time, and he can't wait to announce it. And it's true Hall of Fame caliber. And we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the first thought that comes into my head, is it a Kurt Angle? Is it somebody like of that stature? Have you heard any other names being banted around this week?
Well, there's been a few rumors circulating on social media and the internet as to who it can be. Of course, I don't think it can be somebody who's on the current roster, given their competition contracts at WWE. But I'm thinking, it might be somebody, maybe Brock Lesnar. I mean, from the time when Selena Vega was let go because she wasn't allowed to have her third-party side business, it could be that too. Although I'm not hard pressed to believe it's that. It could be somebody like John Cena or CM Punk. Those are the names that I'm hearing being thrown around a little bit.
Yeah. Cena, Punk, those are two. Cena, obviously in Hollywood doing movies. I don't know how much of an active performer he would be, but that name popped into my head. And CM Punk, I mean, that's always been speculation for AEW, and who knows? Yeah. It's going to be an interesting announcement tomorrow. That's going to be part of a pretty interesting. Jason Gross just said, I have a feeling will be Bully Ray.
Oh, maybe. I haven't heard that one, but totally. I mean, it has to be. I'm hoping it's somebody who can actually compete, though. Like we've seen, like Paul Wright's coming on. We know that he's going to be doing commentary. We don't know if he's going to be getting in the ring, but who knows? Sting too. We heard that, you know, over the course of his contract there, he will get in the ring a handful of times. So hopefully we'll get somebody who can actually compete more so than just be a coach to somebody who is on the current roster.
Yeah.
You know,
comments are coming in. Speculation. No, it's not Mr. Wrestling. Yeah, I mean, that is something that kind of draws you in. You know, I think for the second time, I'm going to buy a AEW pay-per-view to watch the show. I did watch the go home show, as they say, this past Wednesday, and I enjoyed a lot of it. You know, I always skim through everything, but this one was kind of like I almost watched the entire thing, and I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it, and then it was just kind of cool to hear Shivani and Jim Ross. You know, I watch it, but I never really bring it up. But hearing those voices together and seeing the excitement in the arena, and you know, it's not for everybody. There's a lot of distractors, you know, the people that I'm associated with on the podcast side, the great Brian Last, and he does these incredible podcasts with Jim Cornette. You know, they're certainly not enamored with the organization, you know, but I have to say for myself personally, I'm intrigued by it, and I like anything that's going to draw people into the business and viewers to the TV shows. I'm a different generation. I'm so accustomed to the old school, but I am rooting for them to succeed, and I hope that the pay-per-view is very successful tomorrow. And I mean, it's kind of cool to see Sting in there too, you know, and even that Tully Blanchard was in the ring, and you know, he could hardly move.
Yeah,
it was just, and then you see J.J. Dillon come out. I'm like, for nostalgia and for these little pops that, you know, you're seeing these legends. And of course, Arn is there, Arn Anderson. And
he came out. Yeah, he came out and did the whole Four Horsemen thing. That to me was it for me. Between that moment and the opening match with the mixed tag team match that they had with Shaq and Jade versus Cody and Red Velvet, like that match was amazing. And I think that was the perfect way to open a show like that.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, what did you expect from Shaq? I mean, how big he was. But I was like, you know, for the spots that he did and going through the table and you know, being able to take a few bumps and you know, obviously he's such a big man, you know, but it was like, it was not embarrassing. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah, and I think I like the way that they constructed the match, because they really, in my view anyway, they kind of really spotlighted the women. And I felt that the women really carried a lot of that match. And we hadn't really seen much of Jade, we've seen more of Red Velvet, but Jade kind of hadn't really gotten into the competition side. So to see her get in there and to see her kind of mix it up with somebody who is significantly smaller than her, and then to see the two men get up there, and then for Shaq to go through that table. I mean, you knew it was over after that. I mean, I don't know if anybody thought that he was going to recover from that. I certainly didn't, but I thought it was a really good match, and I wasn't really sure about it in the first place. I'm always very skeptical with celebrities, you know, as we've seen with Bad Bunny on the other side with WWE and how that's going. So I wasn't too sure what to expect, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Me too. Yeah, so going to be a good show. We're getting comments that are coming in. You know, some people, it wasn't as terrible, and other people, it was just as bad as I thought. So it's a matter of taste. You know, it's a matter of taste. So excited about it. Going to watch it, and yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, look forward to tomorrow night.
Definitely. And I think another thing that I will definitely be keeping my eye on, I think everyone else is too. I know we don't always talk about ratings and stuff of the three different shows, if you will, or SmackDown, Raw, NXT, and AEW. But it seems that now it's becoming more apparent that which show is dominating, and it's no longer the Wednesday Night Wars. And I don't think it was for the last little while. And we've been hearing there's rumors going around that NXT will be moving maybe to Tuesdays because they're not doing as well with their show because they're constantly having to compete with AEW. Now, nothing is confirmed. I'm still keeping my eye on it to see what's going to happen there, but I would not be surprised if they decided to move to Tuesday nights at all.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, sometimes I am. I think we'll go to Tuesdays.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be the only thing that would make sense. If you want to compete and you want your program to survive, I mean, I think that's really the only way to do it, because NXT does have a good program. They do put on good shows, but when you're constantly competing with a product that AEW is putting out there now, I can see how it would be difficult.
Yeah. There's another story. I don't know, we touched upon it, but I did want to bring it up because I think it could be somewhat impactful. And actually, some of our viewers are commenting a little bit about that NWA is coming back for tapings.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to be checking that out too. I used to watch NWA Power. I really did enjoy that program. So I'll definitely be checking out that show and seeing maybe if it's another contender to what we're watching. A lot of wrestling, though. It's a lot of wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a lot going on. On. What else is shaking? What else is going on your list?
Other than that, I mean, the only other thing that really stood out to me this week was we're seeing some Twitter beef, if you will, between Randy Orton and Soulja Boy. And I know that I don't like when people, especially people who are not in the industry, they constantly call wrestling fake. Fake is not the word that you should be saying to any wrestler, anybody in the business, let alone somebody like Randy Orton, who doesn't matter if he's in the ring or not in the ring, he could still get in there and rip you apart. And he did on Twitter. He did rip Soulja Boy apart and did challenge him to come in the ring and say, if you really think wrestling is fake, come in the ring and I'll show you. So we've been seeing that going back and forth. I mean, like I said, this whole thing with celebrities, I'm not completely on board with it. And I think this is part of the problem. So I don't really know what's going to happen there. But I mean, it really wouldn't surprise me if Vince somehow managed to get Soulja Boy into a WWE ring eventually and put him on a pay-per-view with Randy Orton. I mean, we've seen that before.
Yep. Yeah, lots of stuff going on. And of course, WrestleMania season is upon us too. So we are busy. We are busy.
One more pay-per-view at the end of the month, and then we will be there.
Then we will be there for sure. Well, I certainly thank you for your time once again. And Greg Oliver is in the waiting room there. See him there. He's lit up. Let's bring him on for a second before we say goodbye to you. It wouldn't be fair. Let's see what we got here. Greg.
Hi, guys. Got to turn to the camera.
You're lit like Hollywood today.
Is it too much? I can turn it down.
No, it looks good, man.
You look glare off my forehead.
It looks good. So, I wanted to bring you on, and we'll be talking. You're here, so I wanted you to say hello to Alex.
Yeah, long time no see. We live in the same country, but two different cities. So.
Well, yeah, and you're so busy doing like real work, so that's good. I'm glad you're still employed because the radio industry in Canada has taken a bit of a hit the last little while. So.
Tell me about it.
What else do you want to know, John? Any slam secrets? No, site's been going good. Alex has got that piece coming on the AEW women's tournament they've been doing. I'm looking forward to that. We've got some good stuff. We always have good stuff. Just sometimes you don't know what it is, and that's why we're talking about obituaries here in a bit. So that took something off your plate, Alex, right?
Yeah, we lost our feed for a second, but we're back here. So I don't know.
I didn't go. You disappeared, didn't you?
You disappeared.
We all did.
We did.
Oh.
I think we all did. And for some reason, the YouTube feed is not here today. I don't know what the heck is going on. Is anybody watching on YouTube? Because it's not showing up on my screen. Whatever,
no. It's not showing up on YouTube.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm gonna have to upload this then. I don't know what happened. And I put in the new iOS operating system a week ago. Thanks, Chewy. The old John. Here we go. And it messed a lot of things up. The new operating system for Apple. I mean, for the Mac Pro. I mean, it just messed so many things up for me. I had to relog into things and passwords, and so now I have to check the YouTube out. And yesterday when I set the broadcast up, it said that we were set. So, but I don't see it up there. So that's horrible. Big chunk of our audience.
Technology woes.
Yeah, it does. Well, Alex, you have a great week, and people will see you here next Saturday, and I'll get that YouTube fixed.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All righty. Thanks, Alex.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Greg, the author, slamwrestling.net.
Did you got your book? That's the final?
The advance. I didn't get the real one yet.
Okay, I don't have it yet either. So,
but and here's the crazy thing: all the advanced copies that I ordered from ECW Press, it was the weirdest thing. I didn't get a chance to upload it, but they were already delivered to New York. So the boxes are there.
oh,
There they are.
for the signing you're doing.
Yeah, for the signing and the advanced copies, the signed and numbered ones. I mean, my nephew's like, your books came, and they told me they weren't going to be there till around the 10th or 11th, but they're there, and I don't have a copy yet.
And just build the anticipation. Just don't drive too fast. Get a ticket or anything. Or
Yeah,
really.
And you know, I said, why don't you open up one? I told him to Dominic, why don't you open up and take your? No, Uncle, I'm going to wait till you get here so we can have the unveiling together as a family. I was like, okay, very good.
Good self-control.
Yes, there is a link. I'm putting up the link as we speak to the book. It's a copy and pasted. If you go to PayPal, you get a signed and numbered, low numbered copy of it. So I'll be pasting that a couple of times here during the show. But anyway, Greg, before we get into all the unfortunate and tragic losses this business has experienced this week, I mean, it was crazy. We lost four legends this week. What do you feel about the Matt Memories book coming out now? Now that it's, I know this is old hat for you, but it isn't for me.
Well, exactly. I live vicariously through you. You're so excited. It's a good moment for you. It's a culmination of so many things, right? It's the work, we put into it. It's the work the ECW press people put into it, between the editing and the layout and the marketing. So all those things have to come together to make it work. And because the last book I did was self-published, it was my book about the actor Billy Van, available at billyvan.ca. I missed all that, right? I had to do the editing. I had to source all the photos. I had to set up the website. I have to do all the fulfillment. If there's a problem with the book, I've got to deal with it. So it made me miss ECW Press. You don't miss everything. It's fun to do things on your own too, but it's good we've got a powerhouse publisher behind us, and you're going to get lots of traction in about another month, right? I mean, the book's maybe out there now and people will get it, but you have to be prepared that the books are printed now, but now they got to go to the bookstores.
Yeah,
so that takes time. Yeah, exactly.
They have been shipped, but excited about the whole darn process, and the publicity end of it is kicking in really good. So we'll see. It is a month from today, official release date, April the 6th. Matt Memories coming out through the best places that you buy your books, whether it's Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever. I mean, it's everywhere, looking at where it's distributed. So exciting stuff.
Well, but, and I've said that before, John, too. It's okay to go to your local bookstore. Right?
Yes.
In a small town and say, hey, my friend wrote this book. I'd really love to get a copy. Will you order it for me? Chances are that'll get them to order a couple and put another one on the shelf, or they'll order a couple more from the publisher or from the same writer, which would be this guy. So it's perfectly, in fact, I encourage you, get to know your local bookstore and try to support local, because Amazon doesn't really need the money, but your local bookstore needs to stay in business.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. But the topic today, the reason I wanted to bring you on, is that slamwrestling.net does an incredible job of covering the news, reporting on everything, whether it's review of the Young Rock, which I watch every week myself, a half hour of mindless television, seeing what some of the performers from back in the day look like as actors. I mean, it's crazy. But I am watching that. But we suffered 4 big losses this week in the business. And the first one, was it Crockett or was it Ann Casey? Who was it?
No, it was Dean Ho that died last week, and that was last Sunday. We learned about. But
Dean was first.
Yeah, Dean Ho had died more recently, like further back than that. I think it was the 23rd. But the word hadn't really circulated. And he was a great talent. He was a nice guy. Met him at Cauliflower Alley Club. We'd done a big, long feature on him on the site before. So, but yeah, he was a big star. But he wasn't necessarily your headliner guy. He did have to run.
Was a death?
He was just older. He'd had a lot of health problems. He'd had a lot of memory issues, dementia, and things like that. So it was a culmination of things. They partly blamed even football and wrestling for some of the damage that went on to his brain and the memory, which is a common theme, and it's not one we're ever going to get away from. In fact, it's only going to get worse, I think, as we keep moving along here.
Yeah. He, I remember him in the days of the WWF, and I remember him being tag team champions with Tony Gurria. And I pulled up a few shots here. I mean, he was a mainstay in the WWF in the early 70s, and he was quite the performer. He had a lot of charisma. Here's a match against the Valiant Brothers. I believe this was at Nassau Coliseum. I shot, and they did eventually lose the tag team titles, I believe, to the Valiants, Ho and Gurria. And there is a match with him against Strong Kobayashi, and that was also at Nassau. But I liked Dean Ho. I thought he was a great performer, and I remember him vividly, and it's a loss. I mean, he had his time, and I guess one of the viewers here, once Dean Ho left in '75, he never came back. I mean, he had a pretty cool run for a while, but
the thing about Dean, though, is that he influenced a lot of wrestlers because he ran a gym when he was in Hawaii, right? And so the guys that came into Dean's gym were like Superfly Snuka and Frankie Lane and all the guys on Magnificent Morocco, all these guys that came through Hawaii at some point. So they're the locals that knew about the gym and met the wrestlers there, and the wrestlers who also worked out there. So it was a magic place that he was so big in the bodybuilding that he was able to influence some of those other people. But yeah, they asked about why he never came back to the WWF. Well, I mean, he settled in Vancouver, and they had a little business there, he and his wife and his kids. So there's a reason they often don't travel, right? After a certain point, you want to settle down. You want to have your kids in the same school system. Yeah. So yeah, all those things. And he became a part of the scene out there in Vancouver, and a lot of the Vancouver wrestlers will talk about how he was influential to them. He was a mentor.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Rest in peace, Dean. But, what a list this week. I mean, you broke the story of one of the true legends of women's wrestling. You broke that on slamwrestling.net, and that was the death of Ann Casey. Yeah.
And the thing is about how disappointed I was that it got no other coverage or very little, right? For somebody who was important to women's wrestling as she was and how long she'd wrestled, she didn't get the attention she deserved. And that's unfortunate. I think that speaks a lot to women's wrestling in general. But Ann was a character for sure. Anybody who dealt with her, and she was active online, and so you'd get to know her. And she self-published a book that is, let's say it's not as polished as our book, John. And but it's very endearing in a way. It's very much her life. She basically ended up after wrestling driving a truck, so like a great big 18-wheeler. So she was a fascinating woman. For sure, and didn't get the attention that she deserved with her passing. But to me, it's important we document that, and I have people like Chris Bergstrom who really do help find these women, find out the stories, and give us a little nudge sometimes to help us get the better story. In that case, it wasn't my story that we ran on Ann Casey, it was Steve Johnson's, and I topped it up and added a whole bunch of new details. But Steve had written a big piece years ago for the revamp when they relaunched wrestling review magazine. And so Steve had written a piece for there, and I was able to use it and repurpose it. So that saved me a lot of work, because obituaries are a lot of work.
Oh, yeah. Do you have, like, I know there's so many of the major news organizations, they have, like, death obituaries ready to go, once a famous celebrity passes on. Do you have something similar?
It morbid, doesn't it? But it's true. Yeah. I mean, the Associated Press has, pieces all ready to go on Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth, and, probably even more important, like other people like that are younger in our sense, but like a George Bush, like there's those famous people that on the slow days you assign somebody to piece together those pre-obits. Yeah. And even like Johnny DeFazio, when he passed, the Pittsburgh guy, I mean, I knew that Tom Liturgy had known him. Trapper Tom had dealt with him and was able to quickly do a story.
Yeah, that was was that this week also or last week?
No, that was last week, but I don't I mean, he wasn't a very huge name in the sense that, he wasn't nationally known.
He's huge in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. That's the way it is sometimes, right? Like you're Willie Stargell, the guy who means a lot in one city. Yeah.
Well, somebody who meant a lot in the history of wrestling as far as a promoter and a booker and a matchmaker was Jim Crockett Jr. And he passed away this week as well. I mean, what a loss. I mean, he had just done a interview with Conrad Thompson for his ad-free shows. And so, I mean, that was the very last interview that Jimmy Crockett did. And it's sad. I mean, because he had some, I guess, kidney failure. Was that one of the problems? Or
I think there was hospitalization issues, and then Dave Meltzer mentioned that COVID came into into there too somehow. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. Anybody's in a hospital is going to be more susceptible. They're already facing the issues. And
going into hospice too, from what I understand.
Yeah. So that in that case, that was a pre-obituary that I had worked on a couple of days before. Right. Once I heard he's in hospice care, it's really unlikely somebody's getting out. So you start working on it. It's maybe not done, but it's close to done. And you top it up. But the thing about Crockett, and again, I did a lot of work and a lot of research, and all these other sites talk just about the wrestling. And I tried to really get the extra parts, right? The fact that, he was heavily involved in the Republican Party. He'd run for Georgia Senate, North Carolina Senate. I tried to make sure I had all the family stuff right. And I didn't initially, but it got corrected. About the daughters and his sons and the marriages. So an obituary's got to be about more than just what we saw on the screen. And I think that's probably the key thing I did with Crockett is I talked to a lot of people, or I dug up a lot of quotes where he's talking about the business and not necessarily, he's the guy that promoted the Four Horsemen. There was a lot of things that went on behind the scenes. And I think the key with Crockett is he was smart enough to stay in the background. You mentioned him as a booker. Well, I don't see him ever as a booker. He was always the kind of guy that got out of the way and said, you guys run the creative side. I'll take care of the business side.
Was Jim Crockett Jr. ever on the radio show? No, he was not. Would have been a good guest back in the day, but no, I never had a chance to interview Jim Crockett for Wrestling Spotlight.
Well, when you think about it, though, I mean, you had Jim Hurd and a couple of the guys that followed him. So
Fry, and I mean, I had a lot of them on there, and but Crockett was a legend, and he was one of the best promoters in the history of the business.
Well, and the minor league baseball is, of course, in your book too. Yes. I mean, he and his family ran the Charlotte O's, and they owned a minor hockey team for a time. So there's a lot of other things down there in the whole Charlotte area that they're responsible for. And while we're wrestling fans, we appreciate it. It's a loss in other ways too. I mean, he installed his sister as the general manager, for the Charlotte O's. I think she was the third female minor league general manager, if I remember reading.
Frances Crockett, right?
Frances Crockett, right?
Because I lived in Charlotte for a while, and they were huge. And then of course Tony Schiavone works for them too.
Yeah, that's where Tony got his break, right? Was doing baseball, and then they said, "Hey, do you want to do the wrestling for another couple of bucks?" And look at him now. But again, Tony took that huge break and did football, right? He's still doing the Georgia football.
Yes.
But now he's back with AEW.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. And then, of course, finally, I mean, it happened yesterday, but we lost another legend, Buddy Colt.
Buddy Colt, yeah. He was born Ron Reed, and then he became Cowboy Ron Reed, and sort of was an underneath guy, right? He wasn't quite the main eventer. He was up there in WWF for a while and things like that. But then he really hit his stride. He, bleached his hair, became Buddy Colt, and had mastered all the skills. He was another guy like Ann Casey that was active online, had a good Facebook presence, just liked talking to people, and was always helpful. And it came out of the blue, and yet he's 82 years old and had battled some health issues. And, you've seen him in a walker and a scooter, things like that. So you're surprised, but you're not surprised. And
wasn't he, didn't he almost get killed in a plane crash in the 70s too?
That's it. Well, he was flying the plane.
Was that the plane?
It was Bobby Shane, Gary Hart,
got killed, right?
And Austin Idol. Yeah, and Bobby Shane died in that plane crash.
Yeah.
So you have to live with that the rest of your life too. So Buddy never really wrestled past that. That was 1975.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he never really wrestled much after that, and he was involved with the business here and there, but not a ton. He moved on to other things.
Right. I mean, you don't know. I mean, it's just like, but that's the thing. All these legends, all the people that I grew up in the 70s, and, so many of them, most of them are gone, the biggest performers in wrestling. And then, it seems like every week you're hearing about somebody else we lose. And there's so many of the guys out there and the ladies out there that are aged and are at that point where there's not a lot of time left. And it's sad to cover that stuff, and I'm sure it's got to be sad for you when you hear about another person who unfortunately is not here any longer. But then it's time to go to work and give them a tribute with an obituary, and it's kind of like what you do there. I mean, really is kind of the art of the obituary. I mean, in this business, and you guys are doing it in a way that it gets out there quick, and people get to know about the lives of these legends that we've lost.
Thanks, John. I think we do a really good job at Slam Wrestling, and we always have. And it's about being quick, and it's about being right. And that's, two important things right there. It's about their whole life, right? You're trying to get the family in there. You're trying to get, well, what did they do after wrestling? You don't always get that in all the cases. In mine, I have tried to be really well organized, so I have a file on somebody, and I can pull up things fairly quickly. And then other times you're starting from zero. It was last week we had Josephus was an NWA power guy who was young who died, and that one was quite a surprise. And then you have to scramble to find that stuff out. But every website seemed to do that because he was a recent guy, and yet Buddy Colt, when you go to Google, you search and my story comes up because not enough people covered the death of this legend.
David has a nice comment for you.
Thank you. But I don't think there was a Wikipedia page until now, right?
Really?
So, yeah, there wasn't one there the other day. And that's often what so many people who haven't done the legwork, they rely on. And Wikipedia can be so wrong, right? And leave so much out. Which is an understatement of the year, I think, to say that, but it's certainly the case.
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, we certainly appreciate you coming on with us today and talking about this stuff. And it was a very sad week when you look at the number of people that were lost in the business, legends. And Greg, we always appreciate you or getting excited about the book release a month from today. And we're going to be on my cousin Judy calling from Phoenix.
She wants her book.
Yeah. She'll have to buy one. No.
Well, that is one of the hard things is you have to decide who gets a copy and who doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, that is. And you're teaching me well, It's like, don't give a lot of them out. I mean, but, my nephew will get one. My sister will get one.
They can't share one?
I don't think so.
But you know,
Mick Foley will get one. Mick Foley, Suzanne Alexander, who wrote the other forward. Mick Foley wrote a forward, and John Gibbons, former skipper of the Toronto Blue Jays, my former roommate. He wrote another one of the three. He wrote one of the three forwards, so John will get a book. And so it's getting close to that point. Getting close to that point, man. And
cool.
Tuesday we got a big call with publicity, so we're gonna, you'll be on that call with me.
That's a plan.
Yes, it is. Well, listen, you have a great weekend. The rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. And as always, thank you. And the website, of course, slamwrestling.net. Greg Oliver does such a great job with it.
See you, everybody. Bye.
Hey, Greg. Good to see you. Greg Oliver. And he was a pleasure to work with. And as the person I told my story to. And it was always, how can I put it? I told him everything that happened to me in my life. I mean, and he put it in words, and we went back and forth with it. But he is my psychologist as well. But I do have a treat for you today, and it is something that I think you'll enjoy. If you love lucha at all, if you heard about how exciting the AAA was back when they invaded the U.S., I was a part of that. And then there was a split up, and then I started promoting IWAS a little bit more and working with AAA a little bit closer. And this particular match I'm about to show you, and it's so good. It is from July of 1995, and you'll see it for the first time. No one has ever seen it before. So here it is. Cien Caras versus Konnan versus Perro Aguayo. In a cage, and it's hair versus hair versus hair. And it takes place at the LA Sports Arena. And the crowd that night was 8,500 with a gate of $148,000 that had come in. So let's go to the match now. And there's run-ins, and it's all pretty cool stuff. So we're going to share the screen, get everything ready and hooked up for you folks. Let's do it. Of course, nothing ever goes smoothly here. Share screen, application. Here we go. Ready. Do it. I had to keep my window in there for you to see this. Is the sound back? We'll have to get the tone in so you can see it.
Y aquí viene el de la fuerza, el luchador del siglo XXI, la potencia tiene un nombre, Konnan, el bárbaro. Simple y sencillamente. Simple y sencillamente. Está imagen del futuro. De la verdadera Jalisco. Conocido como el Aguayo. El jefe del cartel de Gallos Morenos. Jalisciense desde Japón. Aquí viene para enfrentar a un reto de los muchos que nos sostenido en la dificultad. Ingresa al cuadro. Aquí tenemos a la potencia. Tenemos al campo de campos. El extranjero de Cien.
Big for Perro.
Vamos a hablar. Y si que es ya una leyenda viviente y que se enfrenta a otro de los retos que pueden hacer historia. Aquí está, bienvenidos a la escena, la leyenda viviente, Perro, Aguayo.
Really, this match, last man in the cage loses and loses his head. It's really escape the cage rules. Konnan had re-entered the cage to save Perro, but then he was officially back in the match. I mean, the heat of the crowd, I mean, there's really nothing like it for these big shows. And it was just incredible heat. Anytime there was a show, Nice payday for Cien. Listen to the opinion. And that's it. I hope you all enjoyed that. Good stuff. Good stuff. First time it was ever seen, really. I'll make sure I get a copy of it to Konnan. But I really appreciate everybody's time here again today. Just a couple of quick reminders. The podcast with the great Brian Last. We tape another episode tomorrow. It'll be the December 30th show, and we'll get that answer about George from Lindenhurst. So that'll be dropped. We have a new taping schedule. We tape every Sunday morning at noon, and then the show typically drops now on a Tuesday morning. That's kind of the new schedule, with Brian changing his schedule with Cornette, moving a day here or there. So our regular taping schedule for Pro Wrestling Spotlight is then and now is on Sunday mornings. So that drops on Tuesday, pwspod.com. And other things before we wrap it up today. Merchandise, if you'd like to get some PWS tees, Matt Memories t-shirts. We have designed a really cool poster for the release of the book, and a t-shirt that'll be going up shortly. And we're talking about now trading cards that'll be released this summer, like baseball cards, with some of my archives from the 70s. And so a lot of good things happening. And if you want to buy a copy of the book, the link is here. The book has been delivered in New York. I'll be shipping those out as soon as I get up there. And let's see. Yeah, we'll find out this weekend. That is for sure. So anyway, I really appreciate everybody's time today, and I'll fix this YouTube link as well. We fly by the seat of our pants here all the time. There's a good idea. Coffee mugs. That is a good idea. I may have to do that. I won't be here next week or the week after, but Alex Robertson will be. But you'll be able to hear me on the Pro Wrestling Spotlight Then and Now podcast. And I will return here with you in a couple of weeks. A couple of quick questions here. Did I ever meet Brody? Yes, I did. I had the pleasure to meet Bruiser Brody. Actually, one time in particular where he was in Philadelphia, and I was able to drive with him and Stan Hansen in the car, and drove them to Hamburg, Pennsylvania for the next day tapings. And that was a memorable car ride for me. I'll never forget it. But Brody was an awesome individual. Another question before we wrap it up. How much is shipping to the UK for the book? It's averaging about $15 total, because I have quite a number of you from the UK and in other countries like New Zealand and Scotland and Australia all ordering the book. So each country is different pricing. But what I've discovered is that Canadian shipping is about $15. So I hope you all get it. I mean, it's coming out. It's coming out in a month from today officially. But anyone who pre-orders it, the sign-in number copies, it will be delivered to you the week of the 20th of March. Those when they will go out. And also tonight, I'm putting up a new auction on the John Arezzi's Vintage Wrestling Auctions page. And there's some really cool autographed items on there, including Ric Flair, Larry Zbyszko, Greg the Hammer Valentine stuff, and also the very first manuscript of Pro Wrestling of the Mount Memories book. I have a copy of that that's going up for auction, and a couple other very low-numbered books. Yeah, so the book is about 2 pounds or so, yes. Yes, it is. I have a little scale here. Why don't I wait for you here, Lou? Yeah, just about. A little over a pound, actually. Thank you, Lou. All right. Oh, very cool. Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, I'm very excited about it, and I think that you'll learn a lot about me and my life and my journeys, not just in wrestling, but country music and baseball and growing up in New York, and everything's in it. And the fact that Mick Foley wrote a foreword was just unbelievable, unbelievable. So happy about that, and John Gibbons getting involved with a foreword, and Suzanne Alexander as well. I'm going to wrap it up for today. Get these auctions put up for everyone tonight. I enjoyed it today, and let's all keep our thoughts and prayers and positive thoughts in for the Funker, Terry Funk, and we'd love to be able to do this video chat with him and have you folks see him and reminisce a little with Terry. So we'll be working on that as well. All right, until next time I see you, this is John Arezzi. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon right here at Pro Wrestling Spotlight.